Welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's Friday. It's another Friday. We're here to talk about comics today. If you want to improve your crowdfunding, you are in the right place. Today, Destiny will choose 3 indie comic campaigns for us to review. We will choose one campaign to back based on which one had the best presentation, because that's what this show is all about. So stay to the end to see who will be chosen, because in the end, how is everyone doing out there? Shout out to Shane, who's on the chat. It's tea time here in the Uzik. Nice. So this is our, can you believe this is our 52nd episode, bringing you the best indie comics on the market each and every week. Sadly, Smurf will not be joining us today. The audio technicians are working to install a new amplifier and new speaker into his chest so that he can reach the full potential of the Banshee and get his audio to glass breaking levels. Until such time, though, he is without voice, so he cannot join us today, unfortunately. But we're going to go on without him. I'm your host, Matt Campbell. I am a comic book creator. I am a comic book teacher at a college and university. And we have reviewed over 200 indie comic campaigns on this show and have gleaned so much information on what works and what doesn't. And that's what we're going to do on this show, is kind of convey some of that information to you guys. So if you've done a campaign before, or maybe you're new, this is a great show to watch. You can go back and watch our previous episodes, and be sure and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Last show, we had a pretty good showdown between 3 great campaigns, but in the end, there can be only one. So the winner was Tatsumi. Congratulations to Matt and that Tatsumi crew. They ended up having a great campaign. Benjamin says, have you ever thought about doing an anthology with students in your class? I see this on Kickstarter all the time. So that's a great question. And actually, we do a sort of anthology actually every class. I was trying to see if I have one within arm's reach, but I do not. But essentially, each semester, my students do a 3-page story. I have a list of different scripts for them to choose from. And if you're a writer and you have a 3-page story that has a beginning, a middle, and end, that 3 pages can just be a scene out of a larger story, as long as it has some sort of conflict and resolution. But the students get to choose which campaign or which script they're going to use. They can change the characters, they can change the environment, they can make it their own, as long as they don't break that story. We do that because for a while I was including the writing part as well, but that took too much time, and we only have so much time in the semester, because we also learn how to do thumbnails. We learn how to lay out a page so that it flows well from one panel to the other. We learn about shot composition. Then we learn about penciling techniques, inking techniques. They learn how to letter their own book. Then we send it off to the printer. I do a cover, put it all together, send it to the printer, and then while it's being printed, we learn coloring techniques. And then the book is back in their hands before the semester is over, and they each go home with a book. But we do not sell it because of challenges with working at a college and all that stuff, trying to distribute who gets what, and that can be very difficult. So we don't actually sell them, but we do make them, and we have extras so that they can show them off at the school, things like that. But every semester they walk away with a book in their hands. Sometimes they get several copies, which is pretty cool. So yes, we do that every semester. And I pass on a lot of the stuff I learn here to them as well, because we have so many things. Each show is unique, giving us new challenges to look at and new things, and I love that about this show. We got a lot of good entries today. Real quickly, I wanted to give a shout out to Sinners. I was a little late on the game. Some of you guys have already seen it, but I went to go see Sinners with my great buddy Josh. He goes by Dead Cosmos. He might be in the chat at some point today. But man, such a great story, great music. It just got the juices flowing because it was such a masterclass in character development. In the course of one night, you get to learn about so many characters. And so when something happens to them in the last act, you care, you give a shit. And that's something that as writers in comics, we can learn from, because we only have anywhere from 22 to 36, maybe 48 pages in a comic. And we're trying to, engage people. And if your comic's just, here's this super cool character and here's this super character, and it's going to be an awesome battle royale, that's kind of like watching a Michael Bay film. It's going to be entertaining for a little while, but after a while, they're going to get bored because there's no emotional investment. So yeah, go check out Sinners. Learn how they do great storytelling. And to be honest, I'm not a huge horror fan like Smurf is. I'm not really into like just gore fest kind of stuff, and so I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew it was supposed to be a horror film, and it was right up my alley. It was beautiful. It was I loved it. And Benjamin says, "Hello, Sam." That's not what Benjamin says. Benjamin says, one of the worst things a comic can do is have an unlikable lead. Yes. I mean, even if I'll take this a step further, is like you can create a character that we don't necessarily like, as long as they've got attributes that are relatable. Like if there's a character that I don't like, maybe it's the villain, maybe it's something like that, and then I don't like him, I can relate to that by maybe thinking about someone I don't like or someone in my childhood that I didn't like. And so like I'm invested now to want to see what happens to them, maybe get their justice or something. But they have to have some sort of qualities that like engage us emotionally, one way or the other. So that's right out of the gate. One of our first tips of the day is create characters that have emotional connections. And Sinners is a great way to go check that out. All right, guys. Since I am going solo today, we are going to go jump right into the Wheel of Destiny and waste no time. So let's take a look at who the players are today. We've got Final Heist, which I believe is on its last couple days. Let's see here real fast. 5 days left to go on that one from John Westhoff. And so we want to be sure and check that out. They haven't quite hit goal yet. So even if you don't end up seeing it on the wheel today, be sure and go check it out and give them some love and just take a look and see if it's up your alley. Next up, we've got Reaper Corps, which I don't really know a whole lot about. They haven't hit their goal yet, and they've only got 39 hours to go. So be sure and check that one out as well. Then we've got Dragon's Bane, which has still got 10 days to go, and they quite haven't hit their goal yet. So a lot of comics who are still struggling to hit their goal today, maybe we can help them, or maybe we can find out what's keeping them from hitting their goal. Next up, we've got Aliens West, Terror on the Range, also a comic that hasn't hit its goal yet, with 22 days to go, though. That's a long time to go to hit your goal. So I think they'll probably be okay on that one. And then lastly, we have Spear Point, which is from Scratch Comics. I've never heard of these creators. The artwork looks great. Looks like they are right at about halfway of their goal as well. So far on our list today, we do not have a single campaign. Let me double check my work here, that has hit their goal. So let's see if we can help them out today. All right. So let's go ahead and go on to the wheel.
Let's fucking go.
There can be only one Highlander type situation. The whole.
I think Sam hit the button. That's okay. All right, let's spin that wheel. And the first one up, number 1, is gonna be, excuse me, Sam. Oh my gosh, that is down to the wire. Oh, that was right there. So close, John Westhoff. First one up is Reaper Core. Man, that was close. So that gives us a 1 in 4 chance for you, John Westhoff. Hopefully this will be the one. Let's go over here to the hide button. Let's hit shuffle and hit that button. Number 2 is gonna be Dragon's Bane. All right, off you go. All right, that brings us to our last one. Who's it gonna be? Final Heist, Spear Point, or Aliens West? Number 3 is gonna be Spear Point. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Like I said, if you haven't checked out either one of these other two, Final Heist is on its last day, so be sure and no, excuse me, they've got 5 days left to go. It's a one-shot crime comic. Be sure and go check it out and show John Westhoff and his team some love. Let's go over here. One of the things that's a little bit challenging when Smurf is not here is when he talks, it gives me opportunities to like go push all the buttons. And now I got to like do them both things at the same time. It's hard. All right. We got Reaper Core. We got Dragon's Bane, and we've got Spear Point. So we're going to take these other two off. I think I removed Spear Point. There we go. All right. How's everybody doing out there this fine Friday? You guys ready to check out these comics with me? First up, we've got Reaper Core. Let's go ahead and share this tab. There we go. Oh, no. Let's try that again. Being finicky today, of course. Since I'm on my own, it's going to have to be finicky. There we go. There it is. All right. They are at, let's see if I can go a little bit bigger with this. There we go. I like that one. All right. They are at $1,647 out of a $4,000 goal. 40 backers and 39 days to go. That's 38 hours to go, not days. That's about $2,000 to raise in just under 2 days. That's a lot. So let's see if we can find out what might be able to improve this campaign in the next time they make one. All right. Oh, yeah, Benjamin says, I'm already supporting Dragon's Bane, but Spear Point is looking interesting. Ooh, the excitement's increasing. He's already got one on the list. All right, the title says Reaper Core number 0, 2025, second printing, plus Dreadlock and Agent Wild. Okay, so right out of the gate, we probably have an idea of why this one might not be as strong. Is that it's a second printing, so which means that they have already done a campaign for this. I'm guessing once before, and so this is a second go around, which means it's going to get less. I've actually seen a couple campaigns like this right now. Jenny says, "Can't wait to get out of work." Kristen says, "Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us." It's not afternoon yet. We still got 15 minutes of morning, and I'm still on my coffee. Don't rush the day. All right. So title. Remember, we have a couple of checkpoints that you can always, ask yourself as far as like what things to look for. So in the title, let me go full screen on this for a second. Does the title tell us anything about the comic? Does it reflect the genre, tone, or protagonist, or does it just sound cool? So there we go. When I look at that title, I basically see Reaper Corps sounds cool, but it doesn't tell me a whole lot. I don't know what Dreadlock and Agent Wild is, so it's just, hey, you get these extra comics. Taking a look at the tagline, it says it's 2308 and a society of endangered humans. Okay, that's a spelling or grammatical error right there. It's 2308 and a society of endangered humans, period. That's not a sentence. That's confusing. Society of endangered humans, period. Then it says indentured clone soldiers and an army of sentient cyborgs are on the verge of civil war. So I think that's supposed to be a comma. So there's endangered humans, indentured clone soldiers, and an army of sentient cyborgs on the verge of civil war. So again, what does this tell us? What do you get out of this? Do you know anything about the comic? What's going to be happening, or is it something you're invested in? Like, do I know the tone? 2308, so it's probably a sci-fi. It's got endangered humans, clone soldiers, and sentient cyborgs. I'm not really sure who I should be rooting for. I'm assuming the endangered humans. But does it include any kind of hook? Does it include the genre, the tone, or the protagonist? Does it introduce a character or conflict or stakes? Is it made for newcomers or just fans of the series? Those are the things that we want to check out. Okay, so I feel like it could be reworded a little bit to include some of those things, like who are we supposed to be rooting for? Who's the main, protagonist? What are they trying to achieve? Something that makes me emotionally invested. It does give me some information about, the genre. It's going to be a big battle of war, and so hopefully a lot of action. So if you like that, it might be interesting. But let's see what the video tells us.
Hey, welcome comic fans. My name is Don Walker. I am the publisher of Dork Empire Inc. and I'm on Kickstarter with Reaper Corps Zero. We're doing a new printing of this sold out book, originally published in 2019. This is a 24-page, full color, high concept action adventure book, and it is sold out. And I'm back with a new printing of the book. It will feature a new cover by myself, and as well as a new variant by none other than my friend and amazing artist, Scott Koblish. Scott Koblish is best known for Marvel's Deadpool, recent DC and Image work, and we can mention Scott for this amazing cover. Bucket list for me, having someone as awesome as Scott to do a cover for me. So thank you very much, Scott. And again, we're here to reprint the book with a new printing for 2025. And please like, share the campaign, go down below, read the story. There's plenty of art from the book, as well as Dreadlock the Barbarian, Agent Wild, which are also available on this Kickstarter campaign. To your right, of course, will be all the rewards listed here, but visuals are down below. As always, thank you for your support here on Kickstarter. As always, can't do it without you. And again, thank you.
Okay. So what did you guys think of that video? What did you take away? Some of you guys are regulars on the show. You know the kind of things that we're looking for. So what did you see? And what did you take away from that video? All right. Some of the positives that I saw is he did show some new cool cover artwork. And I like that there was that personal touch, that it's him, the creator, talking. And he did have some enthusiasm of the book. I think the levels could have been up a little bit more, but he did have some enthusiasm. It wasn't dry. But I still don't know anything about this comic. And that's exactly what Benjamin said. Cool, dude, but I know little about the book. Exactly. So again, this is a case of marketing to the people that you already have, your existing fans, and especially on a campaign that is a reprint. Like, one of the main goals, I would think, of making a reprint is to reach out to newer fans, get more people involved in the book. Yes, you probably have a new cover, and so you probably get a few people that are returning, but they already know about this book, so they don't need to watch. They're probably not going to watch a whole lot of the video. They just are going to dive in and look for what's new. So your presentation, your campaign, it should always really be targeted towards the people who've never seen it before. If you keep that in your mind, when you're making your videos, when you're making your description section, when you're making your title, imagine somebody who's not ever seen it before. Maybe you could even go and share it to someone who you know has never seen your stuff before and say, hey, what did you learn about this from the description? Okay. I also appreciated that, he spoke instead of having to read text, but I would have liked to have seen some of what I'm getting. Yeah, he showed me a cover, but not only did I not know what this was about, I didn't get a description of the story, but I also didn't get to see any artwork from the book itself. So that was a minute and a half of stuff that didn't give me a lot of information. So that area right there is probably one of the areas that I think could be strengthened the most, or needs could benefit you the most, is that getting this out to new people. It's at half of its goal, so I'm imagining that might be part of the reason. Benjamin says, I'm not a big fan of reprints or repeat campaigns. Just sell it online in a store or make a sequel issue. Yeah, I mean, for some reason I've seen that popping up a lot recently, and it's a risky proposition because it can look like a cash grab. It can be like, oh, we just want to raise some more money, and so having a good reason for it could probably be another big thing to make clear right out of the gate. Why is it that we're making another run? Did we sell out and they're all gone and we need to print more? That's a very motivational one, something that tells us why. But let's move on and see what the story section tells us about this campaign, because I still don't know a whole lot. Again, right out of the gate, we see that he has got good use of his jump points over here on the left here, these little things right here, right? Be using these, guys, especially if you are a returning Kickstarter campaign creator. Your returning fans, they don't necessarily need to know all the information. They might want to jump just to looking at the new covers or something. And so these are good things to utilize, and they really help. So right out of the gate, he is going to answer the question, why are we back? It says, this book was originally published in 2019. So this is a 5-year-old comic. My goodness. Reaper Corps Zero was the first title in the future era of our Dark Empire shared universe. It says Dork Empire. I'm wondering if that is a typo and it's supposed to be Dark Empire. Not really sure. With our title, Agent Wild, being our first modern era book, the original Reaper Corps campaign saw us print 1,000 copies, and after 2 years of comic convention appearances and shop signings, we sold out. Okay, so we've sold out the book. We've also got Dreadlock the Barbarian and to add to the future titles. So our goal for this campaign is to print 1,500 more copies between the 3 available new covers. Okay, so then we got just added reward tiers. And now we're down to the book, okay? So this is a big example of burying the lead, right? That's another one of our big don't do's is, don't bury the lead, because people are basically buying a product. And so you want to let them know what they're getting as soon as possible. And so we're just now getting down to the point of like what this book is about, right? So we want to get all right. So it says the book is Welcome Fish, 24 pages of story and art, a one shot, completely finished. So it's book 0 and it's a one shot. So there are no more other books. Created and penciled by Don Walker. The new wraparound features Don Walker. We're still not getting to the point of this book, man. We got this cool new cover that he talked about in the video. And now we're down to the story. Hopefully, thank God. This is really getting buried down here, Don. The story. Okay, the year is 2308, and mankind is 80 years into the reclamation of human society and the resettlement of planet Earth after the devastating aftermath of the Border War, an intergalactic war with an alien race known as the Zartori. The war saw mankind's flourishing, spacefaring society of over 10 billion citizens over 7 worlds brought to the brink of extinction. Whew. Guys, you know what I'm going to say here. Get to the point. This is not telling me what the story is about. This is premise. This is backstory. A lot of creators confuse story with premise. They're not the same thing, right? A story is always, and write this down, a story is always about someone or a group of people trying to achieve something, and something stands in their way. How are they going to achieve it with that thing standing in their way? That's it. That's every story ever told, period. All the rest of the stuff, where it takes place, what factions are involved, all that stuff, that's just the premise. You can take any story and insert it into any premise just about and put it in there, okay? Benjamin says there be as many words in those 20 paragraphs as there is in the entire comic. So true, man. So true. I'm going to skim and see if I can find anything in here that is story related. The present day society struggles to adjust. Population, West Coast, 200 million clones. The Reaper Corps was created by artificial intelligence, created by mankind, known as Father, who created both the clone army. We're still not in the story yet. Today, the Reapers are the backbone to human-controlled humankind. Still not story. This one-shot and the planned 2026 miniseries will study the effects of our 3 groups, struggling human society and what it means, if anything, to be human. The clones, so a sentient cyborg community that prays in God has made it their mission to safeguard. Okay, that's a lot of stuff, and it doesn't ever get to the point of like who I should be caring about. So I would definitely say this campaign has got a lot of things that are going against it that are probably keeping it from succeeding. I don't know what the last campaign did and how it fared, but I do know that this campaign right now is struggling to get some information across. We got some finally, after a lot of information, a lot of words, a video, we're now to actual interior pages, and I gotta say, these look pro. These look great. I wanted to see these earlier. That would have gotten my attention a lot sooner. I mean, look at these two shots. Got this great explosion here, really well colored. Character running, that looks great. There's action happening. It's exciting to look at. This is something that probably should have been very near the top and in the video. So Don, if you're listening, if you come across this video, I don't know if you're anyone that's watching this knows Don, go send him a shout out. Let him see this. We need to arrange some stuff. Hit me up. We need to help you out, buddy. Because these are, look at that page. That is a great looking page. Unfortunately, most people would have checked out before they ever got here. And you're probably losing out on a lot of backers because of this. So then we have some previews of the other books, which honestly at this point I'm not that interested in. All right, so let's take a quick glance. We've got a digital bundle, another digital bundle for $10. The Mega City Citizen bundle is a print copy plus 2 Reaper Core trading cards of a 6-card set and the PDF bundle. And then a lot of people jumped on that one. White Storm, which is $20. So this is a thing I saw when I very first got onto the Kickstarter years and years ago, is the fun naming of tiers and giving tiers like cool different reward level names. That can be fun, but it's not informative. Like, I don't know what the infiltrator means, which means I have to read. So if you say, what it is, it's going to be a lot clearer to people, and they're going to know what they're getting. Not to say you can't use those. I'm just saying, with everything else this campaign's got going on, that one's not probably helping either. We got the commander, we got the fleet commander, the fleet admiral, the war mother for $400. I'll give you this. You got the big campaigns, and get this. This is surprising to me. He's got the Warfather as an $800 campaign. I know why this one got purchased. It's the 22-inch by 17-inch Reaper Core wraparound original penciled art covered pages by Don Walker. So that person's getting two pages of original art that make up the wraparound cover, and 11 by 17-inch Dreadlock original art, and 11 by 17 black and white original commission, any 2 characters by Don. Honestly, already based on everything you're getting, that's less than what I would charge. So that's a great deal. It's no wonder someone snagged it. So Fish says, this is a good comment. Complicated tier names on a book I don't know yet kind of make me feel like an outsider. I couldn't have put that any better. Great comment, Fish. Yeah, it's like you don't know what's going on, especially since I don't really know anything that's going on in this book. Again, Don, if you're listening, I think this campaign has amazing looking artwork. The premise sounds cool, and the artwork that goes with it looks fantastic. I don't know much of anything about the story yet, so I think being more informed about that in the description, in your video, are going to be super helpful in getting you those new backers that you're looking for to reach your goals. So maybe if this campaign doesn't make it, you go back, you rework it, and you try again. That's one great thing about Kickstarter, right? So what are your guys' overall thoughts on that one as I set up and move to the next one, which is Dragon's Bane, the one that Benjamin's already backing. Oh, good. It's going to just let me switch. I love it. All right. Our next one up, number 2, is Dragon's Bane. Before we get into this one, be sure and like and subscribe to the channel so that we can get to 1 million backers. Actually, we want to get to 1,000 backers so that we can open up the ability to get monetized and continue to keep doing this show. I love doing this show. That's why I created it. Smurf loves doing it to help people out. But it costs money to do this show. Between paying for the StreamYard and weekly backing, we want to keep it going. So one of 3 ways that you can help support this campaign. Number 1, just go subscribe to the channel and help us get to that point. Number 2, you can go to Patreon. Excuse me, I've lost my train of thought. Patreon.com/Action Line Studios. And become a member of any one of the tiers. One of the tiers is just to support this channel, where you'll get these videos sent directly to your email so that you don't have to worry about missing them, as well as the breakdown. I break down all the key points and the lessons that were learned, as well as other information. And I've also talked about how I'm putting together PDFs of different topics, like PDFs on video, a PDF on what to consider when you're making your story section. And all that stuff is available to those tiers. We also have an adults only tier on that campaign. And then there's also a tier just to support Mythica. So that's a way that you can support. And lastly, another way to support is to go to actionlinestudios.com and purchase one of my books. Mythica is on its 9th issue. All 9 issues are available on my website, and they're available in both physical and digital format. I also have an art book called The Art of Matt Campbell, Volume 1, and those will help support the show as well. All right, back to the campaign. We've got Dragon's Bane Fantasy Comic. All right, right out of the gate, the title is telling me something. That's a good thing. Next up, it says Aerial Metals Dragon's Bane. I'm assuming, I don't know what that means. Aerial Metals Dragon's Bane. Okay, that one definitely can be improved. There's a lot of characters or letters that you're allowed to put in the subtitle or the tagline, and let's use them as much as possible. So this right here could tell me something about the conflict. This character must stop this character before this thing happens. That's one of the best type of hooks, is just who's doing what, and what's at stake. Those things are going to get us there the quickest. Thank you, Mr. Fish. I appreciate you very much. All right, they are also not quite to goal, but they got 9 days, so they could still do it. They're at $4,779 out of 6,000 goal, with an impressive 189 backers. What I also like to do with my campaigns, I don't know if anyone else has ever considered this, but with each one of my campaigns, I go through and I take the total money raised divided by the amount of backers to see what the average is. So in this case, the average is $25 a backer. So then when I make my tiers, I try to make that $25 to $30 range packed full of as much benefit and make people feel like they're getting the most money, so that they're hitting that target. Maybe a little bit higher, maybe the $30 or $35 range to kind of pull it up. And that way I kind of know what my audience's target is. Plus, it also gives you an idea of how many people you're going to have to get to hit your goal. For instance, if he's averaging $25 per person, if we take 6,000 and we subtract the 4,779, That leaves us with 1,221. Then we divide that by an average of $25 a person. That means he needs 49 more backers on average to get that goal. Now that could, obviously hit or miss depending on if someone gets a really big tier, but it gives you some idea, especially when you're like looking at the next campaign, at the next book. If you calculate all your previous campaigns in that way, you can say, okay, if my goal is $4,000, well, based on all my previous campaigns, I know I'm going to need about this many backers. And it helps you kind of get an idea of like what kind of work you're going to have to do on your marketing. So keep that in mind. Mr. Fish says, I need you to rip apart my last campaign and see where I can do better next time. I'd be happy to do that. Just send me a link to it privately, on my Facebook page or privately, or because if you comment here during the chat goes away afterwards and I can't find it as easily. So yeah, I'll be happy to take a look at it. Okay. Now this video or this campaign does not have a video, so that's probably hurting it a little bit. We have seen plenty of campaigns. I always have to say this. We see campaigns succeed without a video, but time after time, statistics keep showing that the successful campaigns tend to have a video. And why? Because it can set the tone, the excitement. Just looking at this image, I don't know if this is going to be a comedy, if it's going to be a super serious action, if it's going to be like super violent action. I don't really know. So that video can do a lot to set the tone and the genre of the book. Obviously, we know it's a fantasy book. So what kind of fantasy, though? Right? A couple of comments in here. Last week's champ is here, but not for too long. Got some Misfits Clubhouse books in hand and fulfillment to go. Yes, congratulations to Matt. Everyone give Matt a congrats for winning for Tatsumi last week. It was a well-presented, well-put-together campaign. Matt is another one to look at for examples of how to do it right. He's also got a lot of great continuing. He's like known for socks. Always has socks on his campaign. Thank you for jumping in and chiming in and giving a comment. We appreciate it. All right, but back to Dragon's Bane. Despite not having a video, 109 backers is pretty respectable. So let's see what the information tells us. Again, he is using those jump points. Always love seeing that. So over here, it says new digital rewards, starter pack. What's it about? Which is 4th on the list. Might want to move that up a little bit. Because we got this cool cover here. Then it says new digital rewards. Then it has series info, story, colors. That's who it's about. Digital starter pack. So they're leading with some of the information instead of like what it's about. And yeah, 189 backers is pretty great. Then we got Dragon's Bane, who it's created by, story, that kind of stuff. And now we're down to what's it about. So I think a quick suggestion would maybe be to push some of this up. I want to know, like, before I want to, know what kind of covers I'm getting, what kind of bonuses I'm getting. I want to know what I'm buying. Like, I don't care if I'm getting, a cool pair of socks and all this stuff if I don't really care for the book, right? So I would suggest probably pushing this a little higher up on the list. The only, time I've seen sometimes people will put like the stretch goals up at the top. They'll move them up at the top once they've already hit goal. And so they want to make sure that people that are coming back are seeing that, hey, here's the stretch goals. We're now in stretch goal territory. But then right below that, you jump right back into, your story section. So let's find out. We still don't know what this book is about, so let's see what this tells us. And I'm going to enter this into something real quick. All right, it says, Draguna Perun is a dragon hunter and a freelance bounty hunter. When a rogue orc slaughters the denizens of Newberry Village in the kingdom of Caliph, a squire in training named Ravis Thornsbury seeks out Dragana's aid in hunting this vile creature and bring him to justice. Agrees to take on the job. That's how the sentence started. Dragana and Ravis team up with the ex-knight Damek Volo to hunt down the orc. Okay, so before I go into the second paragraph, again, have somebody proofread your writing. I've seen a couple of spelling errors on these campaigns today, and personally, when I see spelling errors, I assume that the book is going to be like that too. Maybe you guys do, maybe you don't, but when I see it, that's what I think, and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. So a quick glance of having somebody look at it. Back to the story, it says Damek, not damn it, but Damek, having been honorably discharged by the king's army for having contracted the Dragon's Bane curse, which has turned his arm into a dragon arm and causes him to rage like a berserker, is a bit of luck. Not sure how to read that one. Teaming up with Dragana may not cure him, but it will get him the coin he needs to buy more booze as he and Ravis roam from pub to pub and village to village. Upon catching up to their mark, our heroes find a young mage by the name of Valera Yorillo facing off with the bloodthirsty orc. The orc is not alone, however, the two dark elves arrive showing interest in the young woman's unique magical abilities. Dragana, Damek, and Ravis decide to help Valeria escape the peril she's in and form a team of heroes. Forming a team and new friendships, their timing couldn't be better as an evil power rising in the land of Caliph. Okay, my takeaway from this so far is that these people play a lot of D&D. These descriptions sound like what you'd get from a dungeon master at the beginning of your game when you're sitting around the tavern and they're talking about, the next thing. It's very informative, but it doesn't really jump into the meat and potatoes. You kind of got to sift through it a little bit. So the positives are that it's got a clear genre and tone. You know what you're getting. It's sword and sorcery. It's high fantasy. There is an inciting incident of the massacre in the village, giving a narrative of a reason for the characters to unite, which is good. There's some interesting character concepts. I like the description of the characters, a dragon hunter, a cursed, unstable drinking character, things like that. But the entire pitch as a whole feels kind of cluttered and unfocused. And so there is a lot of passive and vague language, like, agreeing to take the job and a bit of luck. There's a lack of this thematic clarity. So my suggestions would be to lead with the core hook, which is, in a kingdom haunted by dragons, a cursed knight, a bitter hunter, and a rookie squire must unite to stop a brutal orc before his masters plague the realm into chaos. Something to that effect. You open up with that so there's a clear pitch. Remember, 30 seconds. We've talked about this before. Go back to my slide here. Kickstarter says the first 30 seconds of a video or a scroll determines the drop-off rate. So that's what we're talking about here. So make sure that you're trying to clarify that. I could also add that I would probably clarify Dragana's motivation a little bit, make her arc a little bit more personal, and maybe she's infected with the Dragon's Bane too, or she's hunting dragons because she's lost a family to one. Something that gives us some of her motivations. The more of that stuff you can give, the more invested people are going to be, because like who they are as a character build, what abilities, what ailments, those kinds of things, they're interesting, but they don't tell us a lot of who they are, and it's not as emotionally connecting. And then another thing you can do is sort of end it or add a teaser question, like a cliffhanger, like, as her past catches up to her, the real question is who is hunting who, and those kinds of things. So I would suggest like a revised pitch on this, and then definitely moving it up to the top. It had some great looking art, and putting all that together, and then jumping back to, whoops, I'm on the wrong one. Dragon's Bane. There we go. Putting all that back together, because the artwork looks great, and you've got a character with a sword, you got a character whose arm is turning into a dragon. They're cool characters, and you got cool artwork. That's probably going to grab a lot of people, just like Benjamin says here. If there's a woman with a sword, I'm probably getting it. All right, that's fair, but that's not doing enough. We're still shy of goal, so we got to get those other people that need more, the people who are more interested in the story. You do that with a quick, compelling hook. All right, put that up the front, then show the artwork, and then get into the more detailed descriptions of the character story, and then get into all this other stuff. It works, I'm telling you. Over here on the reward section, we've got a $5 digital. That's always a great one. A digital deluxe for $10 gets you 32 pages full color art. Includes a copy of the artist edition with the original line art in black and white. Oh, that's cool. So you get the color version and the black and white version. I like that a lot. Rob says, I believe this is crazy informational. Love these kinds of videos. Hopefully you can take a look at my campaign when it goes live. Honestly, for some people, in fact, someone sent me a campaign just the other day. You can share your campaign before it goes live. The challenge that what we're trying to do is put this information together into packaged PDFs on my Patreon, and eventually I'm just going to have them available to download on my website, but so that you can get this information before your campaign goes live. Because at this point, like in this campaign, if this person Tristan Vick, who created this, if they come across this, it's almost too late to fix it. And so we want to try and help people fix it before they launch their campaigns. So if you have a campaign you'd like me to take a look at, just message me. We'll take a look at it. So let's see. Back to the rewards. We've got Dragon's Bane #1 aerial metal trade. The trade paperback floppy edition of Dragon's Bane by Ariel. Okay, what do you guys think about the wording on that? It says it's a floppy, but it also says it's a trade paperback. I feel like they're confused about what a trade paperback is. A trade collects more than one issue. That's by definition what it is. So I don't think it could be both. But in any case, it's $20. You get 32 pages full color, and that's it. There are quite a few people backing it at 33 backers, but I think you could sweeten the pot by adding in a digital reward to that $20. You're already getting the physical. Add the digital reward because it doesn't cost you anything to add that digital reward. You've already made it. That way they can keep their physical copy pristine. They can go send it off to CGC if they want and not touch it. And they can look at it digitally and they get more for their money. Or another one is you can include them into a thank you page. Again, that usually doesn't cost a whole lot. You can put it on the inside back cover if you've already got all your interior pages to an even number. So, that's helpful. This says it is 32 pages, Benjamin. Mr. Fish says that it sounds a little confusing, makes me a little skittish about some of the wording there. So let's see. This one says Bane #1, Chris Awayan trade. Again, same thing. Trade paperback, quote, floppy in Dragon's Bane, another 32-page book with a different cover. But it's a good-looking cover. I think it's, where is it at? Nope. All trade covers. There we go. I want to see if there's just a picture of that cover. I'm blazing through here. Well, this is it right here. That's a pretty cool looking cover. Again, you got your girl with a sword, Benjamin. Is that the one you got? Then we got Trade B, which is another cover. 20, 20, 20. I'm going to scroll down these. We got a lot of different covers. Let's see what the big ones are at the bottom. Okay, for our big whale tier, we've got $240. Dragon's Bane #1. All of the Virgin covers. Looks like trade paperback edition of Bane's. So this is not worded correctly. I'm going to read this to you and also explain how this needs to be adjusted for clarity. First of all, down below, you can see here, I don't know how well you can see it, but it says one item included, which you made a package that says just all Virgin covers. But it doesn't tell you how many covers that is. Is it 6? Is it 8? Is it 10? I've probably got to scroll down here somewhere. Here we go. It says, no, it just says get all the Virgin covers. So I got to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right. So that's the first thing. In this description here, it should say get 8 different covers of Dragon's Bane in Virgin format. And then down here, it should show 8 different items, each one, right? We want to do that for clarity so people know what they're getting. I'm not doing that to nitpick. It's just, that's why they created the itemized section. Because people were complaining that they didn't know what they were getting. Okay, so basically the same thing is happening up here because the description says the exact same thing that the description of the other one said. It says, get the trade paperback floppy edition of Dragon's Bane by Ariel, 32 pages. That's it. It doesn't say that you're getting 8 books. So that's very confusing. So, but I do like the tiers. They're basically all of the upper level whale tiers are multiple cover kind of things. And that generally can do well if you are clear about it. Especially we've seen that have a lot of success with the sexy covers where they'll have a clothed one and a semi-clothed one and then a completely nude one. Get all of them together. We see that very commonly and effectively on Kickstarter a lot. But this is working. I just think it needs clarity because right now there's no one grabbing that Virgin cover section, right? So all in all, this has got a lot of positives, but a lot of room for improvement. All right. We got to move on. We're going over on that one a little bit because I found so many things to dive into. Mr. Fish says, good point on the clarity. Easy to forget other people don't know it as well as we do. Yes. Always think that you're talking to someone who doesn't know anything about it every time. All right, that brings us to our last one, which is Spear Point. Now, this is the one that I think is new to Benjamin. Says Spear Point, a World War II fantasy adventure comic book. All right, so it's clear, concise. We know the time period. We know it's a fantasy. So we're getting some good information right out of the gate. Then we have our tagline that says, a young witch and her friends are all that stand in the way of invasion from an ancient underground race of creatures. This is almost exactly what I just described on the last campaign of what a like textbook tagline is. This is almost a perfect tagline. Josh is with us. I opened up talking about sinners, man. You missed it. You'll have to go back and check it out. So yeah, take note. That was almost a picture perfect tagline. It tells us who. It doesn't say. It says young witch. That is who she is. It doesn't say Mary and her friends. Mary means nothing to me, right? So remember, when you're doing a tagline, try to leave out as much of the pronouns as possible and describe them as who or what they are. That's much more informative. That all stand in the way of an invasion from an ancient underground race of creatures. It's beautiful. Great job. Love that one. They are at a goal of $4,750, and they are about halfway there at $2,316, but they still have 25 days to go. So chances are really good that they're going to hit their goal. They've already got 94 backers. If this is a typical 30-day campaign, that means they got those 94 backers in like 5 days. So that's great. Yes, Mr. Fish, great tagline indeed. All right, let's see if they continue their great story pitch telling in this video. All right, it's exciting. It is 5 minutes long, so I might pause it.
I just wanted to start a little bit about the history behind the book, because obviously it is set in World War II. There was actually a real event, wasn't there, that happened that this story is based on?
It depends who you ask. There's some ambiguity over whether it really happened or not. Gerald Gardner, who was the founder of Modern Witchcraft and is a character that features in the comic, actually. He was part of this coven, the New Forest Coven, which set about to do a ritual.
All right, guys, what I want you to do is if you feel like you're done and you want to tap out, type in stop in the comments section and let me know that you've had enough. Let's see like what this tells us so far. We're 42 seconds in.
And this took place in the summer of 1940, just as the Battle of Britain was underway, to try and use
We've already got one from Mr. Fish
to dissuade Hitler personally from ordering the invasion of Britain, Operation Sea Lion, as it was called. That's the backdrop to this story. So as to whether the event really happened or not, again, it depends who you ask. Some people think it's an apocryphal thing, but Gardner claimed it really did happen. I mean, at the end of the day, Hitler didn't invade. He turned his attention to Russia. They went east, and the rest.
All right,
is
I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and give it a fast forward. Benjamin said,
of whom Gerald Gardner alleges he was. There's young women, young Spitfire pilots. Then there's Gerald Gardner. Who we see
more of the same.
He did an expedition, really victorious. Possible, probable, real.
All right, guys. You've watched me review many of videos, many of campaigns. Let's start with what the positives are like, right? So yeah, I do agree with you, Josh. We're going to save that comment. I'm going to come back to that. I like to sandwich things together with positive, negative, positive, right? So what are the things that are positive? They're showing me the artwork from the book. I got to give it to them for that. It's good looking artwork. However, I did feel like they were kind of showing me the same shot over and over again. There was only like a couple of pages here where I saw interior shots. And so it's not exciting. And that leads me to, the first negative that Mr. Fish is basically saying, and that is that it's boring, right? It's just these two guys. And as Josh says, it doesn't feel like they're talking to me. It feels like they're talking to each other, and it's just like I'm watching, an interview or something. That's not exciting. That's not a pitch. That is kind of boring. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate because the artwork does look good, and it's Mr. Fish says it's the first time I've seen that approach. So points for originality. Yeah. So Benjamin says, I love the PBS approach, but talk about the comic first. Yeah, so they're going back and they're talking about like some actual event that took place. I don't know what event they're talking about right out of the gate. They didn't make that clear. And so it lost my attention pretty quickly. All right. So again, we remember that you've got 30 seconds to get people's attention. That one didn't do it. I held on longer just for the sake of trying to be kind and courteous and see as much of this as possible, but it's not catching my attention, right? So just like we talked about in the last video, open with that hook. And even if you had just showed me like 5 exciting slides from the book. When I say exciting, I mean things happening, not this. This is just 2 dudes standing in front of a door, right? You choose as a creator which images you're using to represent this book. And it's very important that you choose the ones that are going to be engaging and exciting and capture people's attention, right? This tells me it's well drawn, well colored, and that it takes place in World War II, but that's not it. Mr. Fish says, I might be interested in the history talk after you tell me why I should like this comic. Exactly. Man, this is going to be a tough call today because we got a lot of positive and negatives on all 3 of these campaigns. So yeah, I would say I want to see more about what the comic is than what it was based on. Again, we've got this cover shot. Looks like they spent a lot of time showing that shot. Is that supposed to be Hitler? I can't tell. Somebody just went and backed it. I just saw their number go up. Now that's an exciting shot, right? That's a shot you want to include. You've got, a character in peril, and then there's something coming out of the ground. How are they going to survive? That's a great image to use. So the first takeaway from that is get to the point. Don't bury the lead. Be exciting in the first 30 seconds. And I think that's another thing is that as they talk about this, I mean, I realize they're British, but they don't seem very excited about their own product. They just seem like they're having a conversation about history, and that's not very engaging. So be exciting. If you're going to talk about your comic, you should be the most excited person about your comic. You created it, right? We should be wanting to go get it just because of how enthusiastic you are. Like, think Jack Black levels of excitement. Go buy my comic! All right. So moving on down, we've got the story section. Again, 3rd time in a row today, they are using the little jump points right there. Very, very good. Yes, as Smurf would say, he's not here to represent us today. If you're not excited about it, then why should I be, right? Exactly. So what's it all about? Be careful how deep you dig for victory. Spear point. All right. Now this has got another little tagline built into this poster that says, Summer 1940, France has fallen, and as the few risk all to defend the skies of Britain, a young witch must summon all of her courage to fight a very different kind of war. That's another great tagline. Like, they need to just put these in the video. So the way that this opens gets into a lot of history stuff. Summer 1940, France has fallen. The Third Reich now has its sights firmly set on Britain. Wehrmacht divisions are massed among the coast of northern France, poised to strike as soon as the Luftwaffe establishes air superiority. So then we get into a young witch named Bridie, I don't know how you say that. Montgomery stands bravely ready to do her part. Together with a local oddball, her coven gathers deep in the New Forest to enact a powerful ritual, the Cone of Power, aimed at dissuading the Fuhrer from enacting the Operation Sea Lion. Okay, so honestly, guys, some of these campaigns can be a whole lot shorter and sweeter, because if you guys tell me what you think, okay? If I read either one of these taglines, 1940s France has fallen, and as some risk all to defend the skies, a young witch must summon all of her courage to fight a very different kind of war. I don't really need to know anymore. The rest of that information, I assume I'm going to get in the book. I'm going to find out about the Cone of Power and Operation Sea Lion when I read the book, right? I don't need all that information. And so you don't really need to give a lot. It's just what you do give has to have punch, and it has to have emotional connection. Tell us a little bit about who the characters are, what their motivation is, and boom, you're done, right? I love this little question hook. Can Bridie and her friends summon the courage to defeat the combined forces of the Third Reich and this mysterious and seemingly unstoppable race of subterranean creatures known only as the Vrilya? This is another great line, right? So some of this stuff can be thinned out, I think, and we don't need all of that. Mr. Fish says the same thing. Taglines get me, the history details lose me, right? I'm hoping that the book itself sprinkles the history in through the story and not just like bombards me with like, I was going to say commentary, but can't think of the right word. Just tons of information stacked on top of pictures. But here we got that cool cover image. We've got variant covers. So honestly, this is a really nice looking book, really great looking art. The taglines, every time we've written a tagline, it's been stellar. So those are great. They're hooking me. These are original covers created by Matt and hand drawn into a special blank cover variant of the comic, limited to just 10. That's a beautiful Dracula cover. Look at this artwork. It's great. Oh, dude, has nothing to do with the book at all. It's not doesn't seem like this kind of sword and sorcery book, but that artwork is fantastic. So these are pieces that are available, I think, as commissions or as tiers that you can get. So this artist is dropping some really great stuff here. So let's get over to the reward section before we head out. They've got a pledge without a reward at $1. A lot of people will remove that, but honestly, I feel like you can get a lot of extra backing that way. Some people are just like, hey, you know what? I appreciate your trying. It's not my thing, but I'll pitch down $1 or $2. It's worth it to keep that in there, I think. But that's just a personal opinion. This was issue 1 is $9. Full access to Spear Point via our partners at ToonTube, providing you with a far superior digital reading experience than the usual PDFs. All right, so it's $9 PDF, but it's a far superior digital reading experience on ToonTube. I don't know what ToonTube is. Do you guys? Then we have the regular edition first issue is $14. Then we have a variant cover, which is $14. Then we have both covers for $25, so a little bit of a deal. And you also get the digital version for free. So that's a good package deal. So again, you see how that brings everyone into this being like the best benefit for the $25 range. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier, and why all of his backers are sitting at that $25 level. Remember, I did the math at the beginning. This is why, because this is like the most benefit, right? Spear Point retailer pack. So retailers get 10 copies of this. Another retailer pack. Now you get into the sketch covers. And then we've got a commission from the artist. We saw some beautiful pieces of art in there. Another retailer pack, another commission. It looks like a bigger commission. And so that's where we end with our tiers is about $400. You get limited to 5 backers. You get a full-size commission piece of art featuring any characters, a maximum of 3 of your choice. Also includes a copy of the book and a digital copy of the book. So that's a pretty cool deal. $400. I'm not exactly sure how big the art is because it just says a full size. But based on what I've seen of the artwork, it looks like a pretty good deal. Benjamin says, despite all the history talk, I still might scoop this. Yeah, I hear you. So yeah, it's got great art. It's got a great taglines, great premise. I'm interested. The hooks have hooked me. They've done their job. The other guy is kind of, the other stuff's kind of heavy on this stuff. Benjamin, you said what I was thinking, right? Magic in England during World War II. What's next? The Scottish guy fighting vampires? Oh, it's a little too close to home, isn't it? A little side note. Originally, Mythica was going to take place in World War II, but at the time decided that too many other stories were taking place in World War II. So I decided to start looking back in history. And when I started researching the World War I era, it fit so perfectly because there's this amalgamation of old world and new world. There are submarines and steel ships, while there are still like Spanish galleon sailing ships out on the water. There are, automotive cars while there's still horse and buggy. So it has this natural steampunk kind of world building that all is real and exists. And I was like, that seems like a fun place to build my story. All right, that brings us to the final segment of our show, which is which one did the best job of presenting their campaign. We've got the one that we're on now, which is a witches and historical fantasy kind of adventure book. We've got Reaper Corps that we started with, which is a bunch of different factions of creatures and robots and clones fighting for some reason. Don't really know why. And then we have Dragon's Bane, our fantasy adventure comic that had a very strong kind of D&D lore to it, and probably could have been summed up to just, can they go stop the oncoming danger together, so it's a tough call. So which one do you guys feel like best intrigued you based just on the pitch? I'm going to write mine down right now. All 3 of them needed some improvements or could have used some improvements. So if you know any of these creators, be sure and link them to this show so they can see and maybe learn and make their next campaign just a little bit better. Because honestly, all of these looked great. They were all good-looking comics. So with that being said, we're going to go back to full screen. We're going to come over here to our drum roll. Are we ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's do it. And my choice is... Congratulations, Dragon's Bane. Your campaign had... your information was a little heavy, but you had it all. I do feel like you could learn a few things from the Spear Point as far as making some tagline hooks. Honestly, it was a tough call for me between Dragon's Bane and Spear Point. I felt like in the end, I knew a little bit more about what was going on with the Dragon's Bane story, even though it was heavy with information, it had a little bit more there. The hooks, though, from the other campaign were absolutely great. And I love Benjamin's takeaway on this one. You're right. It's a good point. In this case, no video was better than a boring video. So I think you're right, because the thing is with the video, it sets the tone. So if your video is boring, I'm going to assume and feel like maybe the comic's boring. So that's the risk that you take. Yeah, if I have no video, then I don't set any tone. Again, I really don't know if this Dragon's Bane book is going to be comical or gory. I'm going to take a risk on it because I still feel like it's got the kind of things that I would probably enjoy, but it also has clarity. And they all looked good, though. Honestly, it was close between those last two. All right, guys, thank you again for watching and supporting this show. I appreciate each and every one of you, especially today while I've been without Smurf commenting and keeping me engaged and interactive. That's been super helpful as well. Be sure and share this out on your pages if you know other creators that might be able to learn from it. And each week we do this show on Fridays, and so you can submit campaigns on the Action Line Studios Facebook page or on my page at Matt Campbell on Facebook. And again, if you like to check out my comics, be sure and go to actionlinestudios.com. And even though Smurf isn't here, I'm going to say go check out the some of the great podcasts that he's got at 5280 Geek, where they talk about all things geeky. So that's all that we have for today. Sam is here. He's ready for lunch. I'm ready for lunch. So let's head out the door and have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next Friday.